undoubtable that we, as a species, are facing an epidemic of mental illness. Speaking from my American point of view, 1/5 of adults in the US, as of 2020, suffer from a mental illness. This number especially speaks true for young adults, as they're the most diagnosed adult group. As of 2020, about 5.6% of US adults suffer from severe mental illness, which can mean disability or severe impairment in daily life. I feel like we all need a pick-me-up every once in a while. With the amount of people who won't go to therapy, which is about half of those with a general mental illness, I can certainly see why self-help apps like Finch or the game I'm about to mention have seemingly been gaining more traction. Kind Words is a game where you write some really kind words to complete strangers. I put game in quotations because I can see how this couldn't be counted as a game. There's no selling point to it, at least as far as I can tell, there isn't a traditional one. You don't have a quota to hit, and as far as I can tell, the game doesn't track how many words or letters you write. There's nothing to upgrade, and there's no big adventure to go on. The game markets itself as Kind Words, lo-fi chill beats to write to. It charges $5, with the ability to buy the original soundtrack for another $5. The game presents itself as a way to vent out frustrations you have, with the feature that strangers will respond to your letters. It's entirely anonymous, with the only sign someone leaving being their initial automatically put into the end of requests and responses. The game encourages you to lift up other people using kind words, and it also encourages you to make requests so others may send you kind words in return. Although I have a lot of praise for this game, I really like its mission statement and what it aims to do, a lot of the time I see requests made and I really wouldn't suggest this to the faint of heart. People making requests often have very real concerns, like potential or actual breakups, thought patterns that could land them inside of a hospital, and reaching dead ends in life, and more. I make an active effort to only respond to people and to even only open this game when I know I'm in a good place. It's certainly something you need to regulate, and you need to be careful with if you tend to overdo it and push your emotional or physical limits. When you load into the game for the first time, there's a deer that asks you some questions. One of the first is that they explain to you that they are a male deer. Their job is to carry encouraging notes from people to other people all around the world. One of the first things the deer requests of you is for you to write a letter to them, encouraging them for doing their job. The deer thanks you graciously for your kind letter, and it also warns you that this is a game where you're talking to real people and you're responding to real problems. The deer tells you that this isn't a place to be mean to people, to make a lot of jokes, etc. Typical internet behavior at its very core. It also tells you specifically that Kind Words is not a place to meet new people. You cannot include inside of your letters or your requests any identifying tags, including social media handles. The deer tells you about the report system, being that you should be reporting anybody who's being mean to one another, any kind of nonsense, etc., and then you are asked to sign a document in which you type in your name. After doing this, almost the entire game is open to you. You can change the music, and you get a new music track every day you log on when you write a response to somebody. You can choose requests to answer, with recent requests randomly being chosen from the list of requests that have been submitted by other players. You can also write your own request, which will then be shown to other people at random for them to respond to. If you made a request, all there is to do is wait. If you log off and log back on a few hours later, it's likely you will have received a response. If you've been responding to requests, you've likely noticed that you can collect stickers. Stickers are little collectibles that are a fun add-on, likely meant to encourage you to respond to others and to write letters. You start with a couple of random ones, and you can get them as thanks for your responses or when people send response letters to you. You can attach stickers to letters when you send them to people too. Also, in addition, as a side note, I think I remember seeing rumors of a kind of sticker code in the game, and as far as I can see, there is no such thing as agreed upon meanings for the various stickers in the game, so no need to worry about that. Most notably, there are no language barriers inside of the game. If you only speak English, you will still see requests in different languages, most notably Spanish. I think it could be an endearing idea to make a Google Translate response, at the very least, if you're brave enough. There is no limit to how many replies a request can see, so I don't see an issue with doing something like this. There is a reporting system in the game, as mentioned before, and the devs have said that they do actively monitor reports. I haven't had many encounters with trolls or people writing nonsense, and for every report I've made, it seems like something's been done about it and it wasn't ignored. So far, I've had a pretty good experience with the reporting system. Sometimes in the game, various airplanes will fly through the air. Opening them will display a message that someone had written for everybody to see. You can also write your own airplanes using a button on the right bar, and you can report requests that you believe would be better being airplanes. Depending on the requests you make, you can get a variety of nuanced responses. I do not have any examples here because I don't want to put out requests that won't really help me or don't really apply to me. Instead, I have some vague examples of requests that I've made. Sometimes you get responses that entirely miss the idea of your request. Either the writer misunderstood what you were talking about, or, in my case more often than not, they didn't know what you meant and assumed what you were talking about. Sometimes you get really short, fairly unhelpful responses. I find that requests that are more common and explained get better answers than obscure ones. For every subpar response I've gotten at least one other great response. I think this app is good for getting advice and feeling validated. It's a really good safe space kind of area that is monitored by the game developers regularly. Looking inside of the discussion posts, though, you're most likely met with a post talking about how the game gives a really bad idea of how humanity really is. This person doesn't own the game, and believes that having a constant safe space that is positive skews people's perception of reality and is a negative thing. They state that the game is a social experiment and it aims to portray people as good. Lots of people in the replies have already argued against this and debunked him, but I wanted to throw my 2 cents into the ring. I feel that this is very easily debunked by the fact that people who are making requests here know that humanity isn't good all the time. If humanity was good all the time, they wouldn't be making these requests and this kind of game wouldn't exist. They state that people replying with positivity is bad because it paints a false picture of reality. I'm inclined to agree with the first person who replied to them, Nematophiles, who stated that this game likely isn't meant to paint a perfect picture of humanity. It's more so to balance out the bad parts so it isn't all terrible. It is, in its truest form, restoring faith in humanity. And much like them, most people would volunteer to help me if I had something happen or I was upset. Not everybody you come across is mean and rude. Especially because the type of people who buy this game, I assume, are already willing to help people, excluding the trolls I likely haven't seen yet. I do believe that the game charging a $5 price tag helps to dissuade trolls, or people who have mean intentions, from engaging with the game and responding to others. A lot of people aren't willing to go for the effort of paying $5 in order to be mean to others. I think that this game, however, isn't aiming to tell people that all of humanity is great and amazing, because that obviously isn't true. If it was, nobody would have as many problems as they do now, and this game wouldn't have a reason to exist. However, if this doesn't exactly sound like your thing, or you don't want to pay the $5 price tag, there's a couple of alternatives where they might fit what you're looking for, however, I don't think they fulfill the same purpose as this game does. If you just want to vent it out and don't want to get a reply, this reminds me an awful lot of this website will self-destruct. It's a website built off the idea that if nobody writes anything into it for 24 hours, the website will disappear. It's still around, and as far as I know, it's still regularly used. The Unsent Project, a website designed for people to write unsent messages to those they loved, or currently love, is down and under renovation since users continue to violate their terms of use. If you're looking to make friends with people, Slowly might be something that you enjoy. It's an Android and iOS app that allows you to send letters to people around the world, with people needing to actually wait to get the letters people send them to simulate sending real letters. Overall, I think that Kind Words is worth the purchase if the idea of giving back to an anonymous community sounds appealing to you. I'd be wary if you tend to overdo it, or you're prone to high empathy. The game is designed to make you feel good, you're venting and also helping support over strangers, but it's also absolutely possible to let it get to you a bit too much. If you think helping other people would benefit you, and you believe that this would be healthy for you, I cannot suggest this game enough to you.